Today, we are lucky to be joined by two of our water platform business development managers, Daryl Kuda and Rick Dye. With that, I would like to welcome Rick.
Well, thank you, Sharon. We're very excited to be here today and glad you all could attend. We have a new product out, as you are aware of, DuraTracker, and we are, again, very excited to present this to you. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to tell you a little bit about what is the DuraTracker. We're going to talk about some of the beta testing that we did, and we're going to also look at some of the features and enhancements that we made to the DuraTracker. We're going to talk about some of the communication capabilities now, and a lot of you are aware of FlowLink Cipher, and we'll kind of discuss how this will tie hand in hand with that new product as well. We're going to do some comparison with the DuraTracker versus the ISCO 2100 product line. So a lot of 2100 users out there, 2150, and we're going to explain some of the differences between those two products. All right, so the DuraTracker is really a portable flow meter. It's the next generation of the 2100 platform. So we wanted something that was very versatile, and it's a flow meter, and it has a lot of capabilities. We're going to use it to measure a lot of different things, but primarily flow, level, velocity, and now even pH. So we're very excited about the addition of some of the new features like the pH. It will have multi-sensor input capabilities, so we can add up to 4 TIENet sensors now. And I'll tell you, and Daryl will go through that a lot more detail on the flexibility that we have. In addition to that, we can use these as more redundancy. So now we have a lot of backup capabilities with the DuraTracker. One other type of application you might look at now would be overflow detection. So a lot of people are looking at, hey, I just need to know if I had an overflow and more of the timing that it did that. And we can easily do it with the DuraTracker. And then finally, we're going to talk about, again, some of the communication capability. One thing that we're very excited about is the Bluetooth communication. Everybody sees it. Everything has Bluetooth almost. And we now offer that with the DuraTracker. So we'll talk about that in a little more detail. All right, so why change the beloved 2150? There are several thousands of 2150s in the industry, and they're, again, the workhorse out there. People love them, but we knew we had to make some changes. So what we looked at is what would be some of the features over the 2100 series product line that we could add to DuraTracker. So we looked at those. The 2150 has been around since the late 90s. So it's been around there for quite a while. And with that comes with obsolescence of components, and everybody's running into more and more obsolete issues. So we need to look to the future. And what we did then is we looked at customers, discussed a lot of things that they liked about 2150s, maybe some of the other competitive products out there, and tried to make sure we covered everything that they were looking for in a flow meter. And then we also looked at ways that we could reduce cost in the product. And not only would that reduce cost for us, but primarily for you. And so we'll talk about that. Daryl will speak a little bit to that as well. And looking at how can we reduce some of the overhead that we have with maybe additional plastic and stuff like that we had in the 2100 series line that would in turn make a better product for less cost. All right, so let's talk about some of the relevant markets and applications. And they're going to be used in the very same locations that you're using currently, the 2150. Those are a lot of times temporary or short-term monitoring conditions or applications, such as collection systems. A lot of times used in inflow and infiltration studies, or if you're from Europe, you might call them flow surveys, looking for when it rains, what's happening in our system. And that ties in directly with the collection system monitoring. So not only are they looking for maybe I&I, they're looking for capacity monitoring. Can we handle the amount of flow based on what our rain input is? A backup, surcharge, logging, and alarming. So now a lot more, we want to know what's happening and prepare for those things. A lot of agricultural and surface water monitoring with the droughts, especially in the Southwest US. That's a very key topic for them is, water, stormwater runoff, a lot more of those types of applications, what's coming off our parking lots, industry, and so on. Pre-treatment and source control monitoring. So again, want to know what's happening in our industry. Okay, so the DuraTracker, one of the benefits you'll see here is we can use up to 4 TIENet sensors. For those of you that are not familiar with the term TIENet, TIENet stands for Teledyne ISCO Environmental Network. So all of our sensors now, really going forward, will be TIENet or smart sensors. The one slight limitation with the DuraTracker over maybe some of you that have used Signature is that we can use 1 laser, but we can use 4 of the TIENet sensors. So in this case, we're saying, let's use a couple area velocities, maybe an ultrasonic for an overflow level. And then maybe in our main line, we want to use a laser. So we did a lot of beta testing. So one of the key things when you release a product is you test as much as you possibly can to ensure by the time it's ready and released that we have eliminated as many problems as we can. So some of these, we looked at 8 different test sites. We had 6 of them across the United States. We had 1 in Canada and 1 in Japan. We did on the beta testing 1 or 2 sensors. And if you'll notice the picture on the right, you'll see there are 2 sensors plugged into the TIENet. So this particular beta test had 2 of those. You'll also notice the modem antenna on the top. So, the modem is internal, but the magnetic antenna that goes to that is on the top. And we'll show you a little bit about some of the changes we made on the antenna and how we mount that. All the data in the beta test were pushed to FlowLink Cipher. This is not a Cipher presentation, but wanted to give you a quick kind of overview of what we're doing here. And this, for those of you who have not seen it, is our new cloud-based software. And it will be, again, moving forward as we add different features. This will continuously upgrade, but the data now is pushed directly to the cloud and doesn't have to go to your server. So for security and a lot of other issues that you might have with owning your own server. And we will be doing Cipher webinars in the future. So we won't dwell on that today, but this is how we monitored what was going on with those beta test sites. Okay, so some of the applications that we are using these in would be collection system monitoring using LaserFlow. So on the left side, obviously, is the DuraTracker. On the right side, we have the LaserFlow sensor. So the DuraTracker can be used with either style, the blue or the black unit. DuraTracker applications using the AV. So this is primarily what we see a lot of applications because it is replacing the 2150 eventually, not in the near term. Don't want to scare anybody, but this is going to be one of the main applications on a ring or on a plate, in a pipe, in a channel. And you'll notice it is very similar to the 2150 sensor. Industrial discharge monitoring using ultrasonics. So another one application that we will be heavily involved with, it would be just hanging an ultrasonic sensor over there to measure either water coming out of a industrial discharge into a flume, or maybe this is going to be an overflow indication. And then all of these, or not all of these, but a lot of them we use solar power, and we wanted to test that system and make sure it works. You can see the solar power panel on the right. We have external power capabilities, obviously 7 to 28 volts DC. So if you have a different power source, we can accept that power. We have modem on this one. In this case, we used an ultrasonic sensor, and we had a panel mount. You'll notice it's mounted on the back wall. And Daryl will talk about that a little bit. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Daryl.
Thank you, Rick. As Rick had mentioned, we have the 2 different types of DuraTracker control panel options. So the one on the left is the permanent DC power one, which was used on that solar panel application. So we can mount that on a wall and use the external power. And on the right is the portable DuraTracker with the battery box. So let's take a closer look at this. On both of them, they have the option for the antenna that Rick had pointed out. It uses the same antenna we were using on the 2100 systems and on the signature meter. It just plugs in. We have two USB ports, or we have one USB port for our communication. So now instead of having the proprietary USB communication cable, we have an off-the-shelf cable we can use with this. We now offer two TIENet connections, so we can have up to 4 different TIENet sensors connected to it using a Y cable. And last, we have the DC input, the external power from 7 up to 28 volts DC. And we also have a Modbus output. So it makes it easy to tie into this. So if you're going to SCADA system or some other type of remote communications, we can use the Modbus output from the DuraTracker system. Now, the different types of sensors that we offer are the TIENet sensors. So they all have the TIENet plug, which would be the 310 ultrasonic sensor. The 350 is our area velocity sensor, the 360 LaserFlow. And then the new ones that we added are the 301 pH and temperature. So we're excited to have that ability to log pH. The last time we had a pH logger was with our PAL, for people that have been around for a while. And so now we have a portable pH logger. And then we also have the 306 sampler interface, which allows us to tie into the ISCO samplers for flow pacing, for your stormwater monitoring, pre-treatment if you need to take sampling. And then we can also have the modem, optional modem, the LTE or GSM modem. So the nice thing is, if you decide to add a modem later, it's all plug and play. You can open it up, add the modem at any time. So a couple other improvements that we've made. We've had some improved hardware designs. As you'll notice, we have the integrated handle at the top. So it's all molded into the plastic, so it makes it really easy to carry it around from site to site. It's made out of the ABS plastic, IP68 rated, just like the 2100 system. We've added a stainless steel wall mount bracket. So even though it's the portable one, you could hang it on a wall, or we can use the suspension handle so you can then easily hang that from a manhole rung or to carry it. And the operating range on this is down to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit up to 140 Celsius. Some other improvements we made is the DuraTracker unit is now field repairable. You can take 6 screws out just using a Phillips screwdriver. So if you want to add a modem to it, as you can see in that red square, we just have a modem card you can slide in there. And that's actually where we've helped reduce the cost. Instead of having a separate modem module to add to it, we just open it up, add the card in, and so you don't have to worry about all the extra housing. And you also have access to the SIM card. So if you need to make any changes with your cell phone provider, you can pull a SIM card out, put a different one in. If you need access to the SD card to pull the memory card out, it's all easily accessible without having to send it back to the factory. And last, there's the internal lithium battery. They do wear out over time. If you do need to replace it, now this makes it easy for you to open and swap out the backup battery. Other maintenance items that you will need to address over time is replacing the batteries. So we've made it really easy to replace the batteries. We've just got an extra large handle on there. It makes it easy to grip and remove that. We have 2 deskant tubes on there, and it's just a matter of a half turn to pull the deskant out and replace it. Now let's take a closer look at the batteries. So you noticed we had 2 different battery holders on there. And so this allows us to actually put up to 4 6-volt lantern batteries in there. And so the nice thing about that is then it's actually going to switch to the different battery banks. If you don't have access to the lantern batteries, we have a D-cell battery holder. So it gives you a little more flexibility on what type of batteries you want to use. And as we mentioned before, the external power, we just have a cable. You can tie it into a deep cycle marine battery or other DC voltage sources up to 7 to 28 volts. And last, we have the LTC lithium batteries for cold weather applications. Now, another thing that you're going to notice is when you go to the input voltage in the FlowLink software to take a look at it, it's going to show all of our battery options. So it's going to show both voltages as shown here. We got 12.1 and 11.5 volts on, and then we've got the check mark indicating which set of batteries that it's actually using. And then what will happen is that when the battery voltage gets down to 9 volts, then it'll automatically switch over to the other set of batteries. Other improvements that we made in additions is we've added the new DuraTracker button. So when you get the new FlowLink software, which you'll be able to download from our website, you'll have the DuraTracker button, so you can then connect to it. So our communication options are, we can direct connect with the USB like we've always done before. We have the cell phone option to connect, and then now the Bluetooth option. So if you want to go cordless, that's going to be a great option for you with the Bluetooth. Now the USB communications, so this is a non-proprietary USB A to B cable. It's a printer cable. So you could go to Walmart, Best Buy, wherever and purchase that cable. We have it for sale also. It's going to be on the ISCO store, or you can contact your local representative to order it. But the nice thing is it's an off-the-shelf item. So if you out in the field, you break your cable, forget it. At least now you can actually go someplace local and get the USB cable. You'll notice that the printer cable is it's more robust than like the micro USB cable. So it's great for field use. And the other advantage is you do not have to load a driver. It's recognized by Windows 7, 10, 11. So it's just plug and play. It'll automatically recognize it. When you are connected to the DuraTracker, you're going to notice that it has a similar look to the 2150. So we're on the device tab right now. And with the 2150, it would show you the model number. It'd show you the software revision. But now it actually tells us, what sensors connected to it. So this could have been a 310 ultrasonic, or a 350 is being shown here. And then it shows our software revision. And then it also includes the serial number for each one of your devices, which is great. So if you ever have to call in and talk to our technicians in the product support department, they always ask for a serial number. You're going to have easy access to all that information for them. The Bluetooth communications. So when you decide to use the Bluetooth, you just tell it to discover, and it will go out and look for the Bluetooth devices in the area. It will recognize your DuraTracker by whatever name you give it or the serial number. Now, the typical range on any Bluetooth device is usually about 30 feet line of sight. We've had it, some of the beta test sites were able to go much further in distance, but it all kind of depends on what obstructions are potentially in the way. Now, the antenna placement that Rick had mentioned, you'll notice that we have this black steel plate on the top of that DuraTracker. So we actually provided a place that you can attach that magnetic antenna. And I'll tell you why we did that. We find a lot of times with the magnetic antennas, people will try to just stick it on the side of that manhole ring. It works great for most applications, but sometimes it doesn't work. And the reason is that the signal is actually, when it's on the side of the ring, it's transmitting straight up and straight down, and it's missing the towers. And so as you can see over on the right side, if we have that antenna mounted a little bit lower below that rim, it's able to transmit through the cement and the earth to get a better signal. Now, by putting the antenna on top of the DuraTracker and you hang it from the manhole rung, it's going to have it sitting upright, and it's going to be below that steel ring to then get a better and stronger signal. Other improvements on our modem is that we've added a manual push data now button. And so when you're out there in the field and you want to test to make sure your system is working correctly, you just manually push it. And then that way you can confirm that it's pushing to your FlowLink cipher or to your server, instead of waiting to find out if it's actually pushing the data. Another improvement we made, instead of having a call-in window to determine when you can call the site to manually download it or make changes if you need to, now you can send a SMS text message to it, and then when it receives that text message, then it's going to wake up and then allow you to call the site. In this case, we have it set every hour, so if I send a text message, it could wait up to an hour to see if I've sent it a text. If it did, it opens the window for 20 minutes to allow me to call it. I can reduce that down to say 15 minutes if I wanted to speed up the process. And so that's going to confirm your modem operation. We're going to be able to see that we've got a successful push and deciphered. And what this screen is showing us is that when I do that manual push, I'm going to see all this information. It's going to tell me which modem I currently have in my system. It's going to tell me the phone number of my modem. So now I can keep that number and I can send, that's what I'd use to send the text message to. Tells me the IP address of it. So when I'm using my FlowLink software, I know which site to call up. My wireless signal strength tells me which server I'm pushing to. And then as you can see with the push data, it tells me that it's actively pushing data to the server and then finally complete. So we've added a lot of additional information to let you know that everything is working as it should be. Now, other changes you may see is if you're 2150 users, you may not have seen this before, but the 2160 modules were a TIENet module. And we added this tab on the far right, the TIENet tab. And what that is this is how we discover which sensors we currently have connected to it. So you would scan for it, you add it, and then it's going to show you which devices you currently have. So if I had 350 and the 360 LaserFlow on there, it would show both of them, my software revisions and serial numbers, so I know which sensors I have connected to my system. Other improvements that we've made is that now you have site history. And what that is, the DuraTracker will show you any user action. So if somebody went in there and made program changes, if they went in and retrieved data, they calibrated level, it would report anytime somebody went in there. So if you ever have a concern that, my flow rates were reading this, and then all of a sudden they changed on a Tuesday, they're reading higher or lower. Now you can go back in the history and see, hey, somebody went out there and they calibrated. Apparently they calibrated it wrong, but you can tell that when they went out there. So now you have a record of when people were out on site. And then it also records the meter action. So if it was set to push data on a regular interval, it's going to show you that every day at midnight that it pushed data and it was successful. Another improvement we made is the program report. So what the program report shows us, if you've used our signature meter, you've probably seen this before, but it provides a nice text document showing you everything in the unit as far as how it was programmed, your software revisions, serial numbers, IP addresses. It tells you your entire program settings. So instead of writing all the information down, now you've got a quick and easy way to have all your program settings to keep track of all your sites. Other improvements we've made are in the diagnostics. So as far as in the 2150s, we talked about the diagnostics a lot in that, how we had signal strength, spectrum, which are all great ways to check the health of your system. But now we've added graphical information to show that what the area velocity is showing the spectral graph coming back. So we know we have a nice good signal. The one in the middle is the LaserFlow showing our return spectral graph. And we have the ultrasonic signal. So we're just providing you with more tools to make sure that your data is good in providing accurate data back. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Rick Dye to talk about the comparisons between the DuraTracker and the 2150.
All right, well, thank you, Daryl, and good presentation there. Let's go ahead and discuss some of the differences between the DuraTracker and, again, the ISCO 2150. All right, so we looked at some of the features and things like that, and the performance of the 2150 was really, really excellent and very difficult to make a lot of improvements on that. But what we did do is we made a lot of changes in some of the capabilities. I'm just going to go through these. They both work with FlowLink. Bluetooth communications, as I mentioned earlier, is a huge, huge one. We're now able to connect Bluetooth with the DuraTracker, so that's going to be a very nice feature. You'll notice 1600 versus 160 days of storage at 15 minutes. So much advanced and expanded data storage capability, primarily because now we can use up to 4 different sensors. So it's storing a lot more information than the 2150. Again, the site history data that Daryl was talking about is another very nice improvement. One of the other things that's really nice is the remote installation of software, just like an iPhone. So now we can send the update to the meter and have it wake up and go ahead and install the firmware itself. And one of the big ones would be now you can repair it yourself. You don't have to send it back to ISCO if you don't want to. You can go ahead and do it by yourself. All right, so one of the other things that we had a lot of requests for, the 2150, initially when we developed that, I was one of the guys on the development team. We had people that really liked the capability of being able to add multiple modules depending on what their situation required. And the downside of that was that over time and with a lot of the grime and grit and everything in a sewer environment, the slides could be a little bit sticky and could sometimes make it somewhat difficult. So now we're able to add sensors very easily with just a Y connect cable if we want to get up to 4 sensors, or quick connect into just 2. So now we don't have to worry about the other issues with having multiple sensors. So we think that's a very nice enhancement. So let's look at the DuraTracker evolution. Well, we came out with the 2150 in the, again, late 90s. That was our area velocity system. And then we came out with the 2110, which was the ultrasonic. So people that wanted redundant level measurement with the 2150, we could add the 2110. And then finally 2160 came out. 2160 was designed as a LaserFlow module, and you could connect other TIENet sensors to that, but was really designed much better in the DuraTracker. So now the DuraTracker is our final product for, at least at this point. Again, connecting area velocity, ultrasonic, or even the LaserFlow sensor, as we discussed earlier. So it's so easy, even a caveman can use it, as we illustrated down there. All right, so price comparison, just to give you kind of an idea, because we are eliminating a lot of the overhead as far as some of the materials, we look at some of this, the DuraTracker in a basic configuration, which is a standard area velocity sensor. We're going to be able to be about 19% less than the 2150. If we throw a modem in there, we're going to be about 30% less, because now the modem goes inside and it's not its own module. And then if we go full blown with the basic configuration, ultrasonic and a cell modem, we're going to be 50%, up to 50% less than a 2150. So a lot of good cost savings that will be passed on to you. So in summary, let's just kind of recap. We have some capabilities of working in a lot of different applications. Field serviceability, so that's huge. You don't have to send it back in if you don't want to, and get you up and going in short order. And then TIENet sensor compatibility. As we move forward, everything will be smart sensor design. And now you could have a signature meter if you want, and mix and match sensors. So we're really excited about that. Then obviously, as things improve or we make changes to some of the feature capabilities, or if we ever had to fix any kind of a bug or something like that, now we can do that remotely. So the DuraTracker, we build upon really the the leading market leader, we think, was the 2150, and it was a great product, getting a little old in the tooth. We knew we needed something to to build on after that, and so we've really just expanded some of the capabilities with already proven product solutions. So very excited about that. And with that, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. If you need to reach us at any time, you can contact Daryl at daryl.kuda@teledyne.com, or rick.dye@teledyne.com. So thank you very much for the time, and look forward to working with you. And I hope you're all as excited as we are about the new DuraTracker. All right, so we'll go ahead and take some of the questions. We have some coming in, and One of them is does the 350 sensor, which is the area velocity sensor, include temperature, or will you need to add a 301 sensor to get temperature? The answer is it will store temperature as well. So you should not need a separate sensor to be able to do that. We do find this a lot more beneficial now because people can look at maybe a small change in flow and they'll see maybe a rather drastic change in temperature. So that's kind of the neat new thing that people are looking at these days is, how can I verify or see a small change in something and tell me what's going on there. So yes, it can.
All right, we had a question about if the signature modems are interchangeable with the DuraTracker. But the short answer is no. So as far as the reason is because there's different connectors on that circuit board, so you would not be able to take the signature circuit board or modem out and put that into the DuraTracker.
Okay, let's see. Is this compatible with existing ultrasonic or sub probes? Not exactly sure the question, but we are compatible with the ISCO signature TIENet sensor. So the signature and DuraTracker sensors will be interchangeable. As far as somebody else's device out there, I think the answer to that probably is not yet. Don't know if we will make some changes or be able to add that capability, but at this point, I would say no. If you did have an external device that you wanted to bring into our system and maybe log it, push data, wherever you want to do it with FlowLink Cipher, for example, you could do that with a signature flow meter and take like an analog input.
Next question that came in is, does the functions of the TIENet scan and the DuraTracker work similar to the smart scan on the signature meter? Yes. So when you are connected to it, you're going to find it is very similar. So you can just hit the scan, you can add the sensors, remove sensors. So yeah, if you've used the signature meter report, you're going to find that it's very easy to use. And then any of the parameters that are available in there, then you have the option to log at whatever interval or rate that you prefer to log those different parameters.
Just to kind of expand on that a little bit as far as ease of use goes, one thing we tried to do, and I think we did a decent job of, is make the transition from 2100 series eventually to DuraTracker as simple as possible. And so you'll notice when you get in there, the programming scheme and everything, the layout is almost identical to a 2150, 2160. So the learning curve is going to be minimal for anybody that's going to go that route. So we think that will be very helpful also. But to tie in with one other question that popped up, FlowLink upgrade. So to work with DuraTracker, you will need to upgrade FlowLink, and that is a no cost upgrade. So you can get online. It is not quite released yet, but we are getting close.
All right, we had a question about the Modbus input. So the DuraTracker, we do have the Modbus RS485 output, but we do not have an input. For the applications that require the input, we're going to recommend the signature meter. So yeah, for Modbus input, use the signature meter. And this question came up earlier today about the analog output. So if you needed an analog output with this, we'd also recommend the signature meter with it because it's a battery operated system. It just works better with the signature meter instead.
Okay, we had a lot of comments on the Bluetooth. One of them was, what is the speed of transfer of data? Is it slower, faster? Where are we at with that compared to direct connect? And it will talk at a 115, 200 baud rate. So it's going to be as fast through Bluetooth as it will direct connect. So that is good news. The modem is also faster, not quite maybe as fast as the signature, but it is faster than the 2150. But we also had a lot of questions on Bluetooth. Is it on all the time? And Daryl, feel free to jump in if I'm missing something. But the Bluetooth, the way it's set up is you can set it up to be on a schedule. So if you wanted, you could say, I want it on, like a modem. You could say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I want it on from 10 till 11. You could set up specific schedules different than that to say just be on every 5 minutes after at the hour or whatever. But when we send a text message to it, we can wake the Bluetooth up as well. So we can also set up so that we're looking for a text message. So the modem can be set up to push data, let's say once a day, but I want you to check for a text message once an hour. So that takes very little power and wakes up, says, oh, you're coming to the site. Okay, I'm going to open my Bluetooth up so that when the field crews get there, it doesn't take them a long time to connect up. So a lot of capabilities. We put a lot of effort into power and how we conserve power and make the batteries last as long as possible. So some good stuff with the Bluetooth. Go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, Rick, I want to add something on that. So as far as when you do send the text to wake up the modem or the Bluetooth, so when you send it a text message, it will send you a text back letting you know that it's available for you to connect, and then it'll keep that window open for 20 minutes. So yeah, you just wait for that text, you get the response back, then you'll be able to call it up or use the Bluetooth. And if you are on site, if you cycle power, it automatically wakes up the window to allow you to call the site that way as well.
Okay, here's one about solution to areas with bad cell reception. We're kind of all, trying to do the best we can with what we have. Ideally, if you can get the antenna out of the manhole, you're going to be golden, but a lot of times you can't. So the one that comes with it is, Daryl mentioned, the transmission of how we send that signal out has greatly improved our capabilities, and we think it's going to work in a lot of applications. However, it's not going to work everywhere. We do offer a option, which is what we call a blade antenna, which would be more of a flat one. Unless we don't, I think we still offer it. But the blade antenna, it would be the one that would stick like to you might core a small little area next to the manhole and epoxy that down to that. And that'll get you typically, through bad cell reception areas.
All right, we've got several questions about the availability. So our target date, we are expecting mid to late August to have the DuraTracker available, and then potentially taking orders in July. So that's our target date for this, to have it available by mid-August.
Okay, here's one on FlowLink Cipher. So this is a good one. So is data pushed? I just lost it. Well, is data pushed through the alarms through Cipher? And the answer is yes. So you can basically, from your office, maybe you don't know what to expect, and all of a sudden you see, wow, my level's a lot higher than I thought it was. So you can connect to the meter and actually change, or I'm sorry, to not the meter, but in the Cipher itself, set up an alarm so that now the database or the cloud-based software will send you the alarm. And again, that's easily adjustable in the comfort and convenience of your own office. So, but yeah, it is initiated through Cipher.
Right. And I got a follow-up question on the FlowLink software. So as Rick mentioned, you can download it from the ISCO website. So for clients and reps and distributors that have FlowLink 5.1, you have a serial number associated with your FlowLink software, and you go to the ISCO website to download it. It'll just ask for your serial number, and then you can download it for free, provided you have FlowLink 5.1 or newer.
Okay, here's one. Evidently, somebody was listening when Daryl talked about updating software via, the remote communication. and they asked about the older stuff, 2100s and 2103 modems. The answer, unfortunately, is no, they will not be allowed or will not be able to upload firmware into the older system. They just don't have that capability. But we knew that was an important thing going forward with the new equipment, and so that's why we put it in the DuraTracker. But unfortunately, it will not go backwards.
Right. Then we had another question about USB. Let's see, can I use the USB to download the data? I'm assuming they're referring to like the signature where you can take a USB flash drive out and plug into it. No, as far as we don't just have a USB port on there, mainly because this is going to be a IP68. It is an IP68 rated for submersion. So we didn't have that type of a port on there. But like I said, the good thing is now with the Bluetooth, you don't even need that. You don't need the USB. You could stand near it with your laptop and download it through Bluetooth or through your modem.
Okay, we've had a few questions from a good buddy of mine up in the Northeast. I think you know who you are, on the sensor design and the physical characteristics. And it really is physically the same or very similar to the 2150. It will be slightly larger, but not a lot. And its design was so that we could do all the processing inside that sensor itself. We did make a lot of good changes on the 350EX sensor that includes a lot of noise reduction in the technology and how we process that, the signal stronger, cleaner, and so on. And as Daryl mentioned in one of the slides with the diagnostic, you can see what's going on there, more of a visual than just a number. So a lot of good things with that sensor, and we've had excellent results on the testing. So very excited to be using that sensor, but physically it's going to be almost identical to what you're used to.
Right. And
there's a question on the humidity sensor inside, like the signature and alarm when it reaches a certain level. That's a good question, Daryl. Maybe you can answer that. I think it does, but I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I was cleaning up our Q&A. What was that question again, Rick?
Oh, sorry. Humidity sensor inside the signature with a little alarm when the inside the case gets a certain to a certain level. Do we do that with DuraTracker as well?
We can. So as far as any of the parameters that it stores, we can alarm off of. And so it does keep track of the internal humidity. Let's see.
Okay, are there plans to add Bluetooth to the signature flow meter? Not that I'm aware of at this point. Not that it couldn't happen, but I don't know of that happening yet.
Yeah, with the signature being mainly a stationary instrument, we probably won't have the Bluetooth on there just because a lot of times we're using the analog output or Modbus output on the signature meter. Yeah, I don't think we're going to add the Bluetooth to the signature meter. And there was a question about the SDI 12 input.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, so no, as far as the DuraTracker will not have that. And so we are, we're going to still have both meters, the signature and the DuraTracker. So we were, some of the stuff was intentional that we didn't want to put all the features of the signature into the DuraTracker because it's a portable unit. So if there was a need for an SDI 12 input or Modbus input, that's why we still will have the signature meter available for those applications.
All right, we got any more popping up here?
All right.
Okay, if we don't use a DC connection, will I get longer life out of D-cell or lantern batteries? Which one will last longer? I would imagine the alkaline would last longer because those are F cells. Would you agree, Daryl?
I would, yeah, because the D cell is actually just a smaller amp hour battery. Whereas if you use the Railvac 808, the F cell is quite a bit larger.
I know you touched on the battery deal earlier, but can you explain like the switching?
Oh yeah,
Daryl?
so yeah, good point. So as far as if you look at the specifications that we have on our website for the batteries, the specs are written on just one set of batteries, one battery bank. And so, you know, by having using 4 batteries or both battery banks, you're definitely going to extend or double the battery life. But if both battery banks got down to 9 volts DC, they will actually start to work in parallel to then give you some extended life with the batteries. And then we do still have the option to use a deep cycle marine battery if needed. There was another question about the manhole cover antenna. I believe we do still have that available. However, the antenna, that magnetic whip antenna, that one actually is the strongest antenna. It actually has a stronger output than the manhole cover one. And then with that illustration, if you actually have it below the manhole ring, you know, we've found that we're getting really good reception that way.
Daryl, we have some questions on the rain gauge capability.
Yeah, so as far as the rain gauge, you know, as far as we're still going to reserve that for the signature meter. Because you know, as far as, and think of the DuraTracker as you know, we're going to use it in a lot of the applications where we're using the 2150 system, and you know, most of those were in the collection system. Rain gauges weren't used for that anyways, but the you know, so that's why we're still going to have the signature meter around for more of those permanent locations. You know, possibly with solar panels. You know, so we'd use the signature with the rain gauge system.
Okay, here's one that came in on the chat. So I'll go ahead and I just looked at that. Will the DuraTracker be backward compatible with existing 2150 AV sensors? Unfortunately, the answer is no. And they just will not allow totally different electronics. So again, all the new stuff is TIENet. So we have the smart sensor design on DuraTracker, but the 2100 is not quite as smart, unfortunately.
We had some other questions that came in on the chat about the battery setup have an impact on intrinsic safety certification. So we do have the DuraTracker EX. We're still finalizing some certifications on that, but when that is released, we're going to have the different batteries for that. So they'll have the intrinsic safe battery housing along with the IS rated modem. I guess to answer your question, if you're using the DuraTracker EX system, yes, it's all going to be certified.
Okay, trying to see if we have any more. Let's see. Does the DuraTracker to a LaserFlow connection need to be connected directly to the unit? Can you have a TIENet ultrasonic sensor and laser connected through one Y cable? And correct me if I'm wrong, Daryl, but the answer to that is yes, you can. That's how we are able to connect 4 TIENet sensors to 2 ports.
That's correct.
intrinsic safety, let's see, and you kind of touched on that a little bit. Yeah, so all of our sensors now going forward, everything will probably be intrinsic safe. So we're going through some final testing with some with the DuraTracker and things to get official approval. But yes, everything will be classified for those areas. Class 1 Div 1 in the US and Zone 0 in Europe.
Yeah, and already the 310 sensor is a EX sensor. You would need a IS barrier with that, or wait until we get the DuraTracker EX, and then we have the LaserFlow EX, which requires the barrier, or wait until the laser or the DuraTracker EX comes out later. All right. Well, Rick, I think that's about it. We do have our email addresses up on the screen, so feel free to contact us directly if you have additional questions, or contact your local representative. They can get a hold of us to find out the answers for you.
Yep. And again, we appreciate everyone taking the time to attend. And so look forward to working with you. Again, we're very excited about DuraTracker. A lot of us know we've been working on this for quite a while. And so we wanted to make sure it's as robust as we could possibly make it before we release it to the market. We think we've accomplished that. So look forward again to working with everyone, and get a hold of us if we can do anything to help you. And happy flow monitoring to you.